It's very interesting one. What is the subject? What is your subject? How to face changes. Very interesting subject. Because lot of our problems, worries, disturbances take place because our minds are not ready to accept the changes. That is due to illusion. Our illusion, our imagination. Those who have learned the basic teachings of the Buddha very easily can understand why changes take place. Yang kinci samudaya dhammam sabbang tang nirodha dhammam. This is the essence of the teachings of the Buddha. A beautiful statement made by the Buddha. Meaning, yang kinci samudaya dhammam. If anything come into existence, sabbang tang nirodha dhammam. It is subjected or susceptible to change, decay and disappear. It is natural. There is nobody to handle it, nobody to change it, nobody to stop it. If existence takes place, whether it is a life or plant or stones or earth or ocean, any object, all these are the combinations of elements and energies. But amongst the humans, there is an extraordinary energy which is called mental energy. This mental energy we cannot find in the same manner in many other living beings, at the same time in certain other plant life and other objects. This is the development or the advantage of becoming a human. Then what is the real meaning of these sayings of the Buddha? Uppado paññāyati, vayo paññāyati, thitassa aññatatthaṃ paññāyati. Further interpretation of the same words of the Buddha. Uppado paññāyati. We can see that things come into existence. Living beings come into existence. Plant life and houses, buildings, bridges come into existence. Yes, we can see. Then, vayo paññāyati. After some times, you can see how changes have taken place in all those things that which come into existence, that appeared earlier, whether it is life or a bridge or a building or anything else. Changes. Changes take place in such a way If we have not seen them for about 30 to 40 years, we cannot recognize. When I was studying in Sri Lanka with some other students or other monks, many of them I have never seen for 40 to 50 years. When I see them today, I cannot recognize any of them. How changes take place? This is the Dhamma. Without reading any religious book, you can understand the Dhamma through this change. Kingdoms appear, rulers appear, emperors appear in this world from time to time. All of them have disappeared, ruined, and turned into earth. When you study from the known history, say 5,000 years, what happened to those rulers and emperors and the kings and kingdoms? All disappeared. This is Dhamma. After changing, we can see Vayopanyaya disappear. The life that which runs here and there and very active suddenly collapses and after that disappears. That person is no more. Is there anybody who can stop this? No. The plant life, you can see grow very nicely, very healthy. After that you can see beautiful flowers, then fruit. After many years, you can see how branches are decaying, or the tree is fading away, dry, either collapse or disappear. Exactly like this. There is no difference whether it is human life or plant life as far as biological, physical and elemental things that we analyze. As I mentioned earlier, only difference is human mind. That we cannot find in others. So this is the nature of existence. Uppado panyayati, things come into existence, we can see. Vayo panyayati, we can see they are changing, decaying, visible, noticeable. But takes some time for us to see things properly. After changing and decaying, disappears. When it is disappeared, if it is a plant life, there is no such thing as rebirth for that plant life because there is no mind. If humans and other living beings, they have a mind. Other living beings also have to certain degrees, although they haven't got sense of reasoning and understanding and analyzing things. They too have a mind only for their survival, for their pleasure, or for their precaution, security. They use their mind. But we use our mind for various other purposes. This is the development of human mind. So, appear, change, decay, disappear, but that is not the end. If they are living beings, reappear. How do they reappear? The elements that they had dissolve, disintegrate and absorb into the same element, like solidity, fluidity, the wind, all absorb into the same element. But the mental energy, no one can absorb into another group. Ekacharan, the Buddha's word is Ekacharan. Mind exists alone. Even two minds also cannot exist together, must separate. So when that mental energy we introduce as consciousness departed, when the elements are disintegrated, will be landed again somewhere. Belief is not important, it is natural. You can say we don't believe, it's not necessary to believe, it is natural. When it is landed according to your own karma, your own action, how you handle, how you used your life here. All these activities, good and bad and neutral, three kinds of activities introduced as karma. This karmic energy directed, guided, diverted that mental energy to land in that particular place, whether it is in the human life, animal life, or spiritual, or ghost, or devils, or devas, or brahmas, depend on your own karma, your own action. There is nobody behind or in front to handle this, to carry this life either to this place or that place. Our own action is responsible for that. Kammang satte vibhajati yadidan hina panitata. What the Buddha? Karma is responsible for creating this division, discrimination, differences, to become either humans or animals or devas or fortunate or unfortunate. That is why we say, you are responsible for your life. I am responsible for my life. We cannot depend on either the Buddha or God or anybody for this life. We can depend on them to gain some guidance and advice for us to lead the noble life. But they have no authority or power or ground to handle our life. I am responsible for my own life. That is why we have to handle this very carefully, with understanding, without abusing, misusing. So changes take place in this manner. So, started another new life in the mother's womb, then again started to change. Changing with the cooperations of various other elements and energies. Then build up. Again going on changing, changing. Changing means growing, 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 growing. Growing means changing. After growing, 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 say, up to 40, 50 years, then stop growing. Then turn into this way. Then going down and down and down and down and 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, collapse. This is called changes. It is natural. There is nobody to change it and nobody to stop it. Then, why do we worry about these changes? That is the most important thing. Because without analyzing, without studying properly, we developed very strong attachment, craving. That craving, attachment cannot tolerate, cannot face, not ready to face the changes. Take for instance youth, young boys and girls. They like to remain forever as youth. They think how nice if we can remain without growing old. It is an illusion, it is an imagination, because they have not realized this nature. The Buddha has mentioned this in Satipatthana Sutta very clearly. How nice if I can live forever as youth without growing old. How nice if I can remain in this world without suffering from sicknesses. How nice if I can live in this world without facing death. We think like this, how nice. But we have no knowledge to think that it is impossible. The Buddha had 10 kinds of extraordinary powers. Among those, first two, the Buddha is the only teacher who knows this. What are those two? Possible and impossible. He knows that this is impossible, but we cannot understand that is impossible. We think it is possible. That is our ignorance. He knows this is possible, but we think it is impossible because of our ignorance and weakness. One example, if you like, if you want, one day you also can become a Buddha. It is possible, not impossible. But you think it is impossible. How can I become a Buddha? So that clear understanding, which is possible and which is impossible, understood by the Buddha. That's why he is known as Sabbanyu, knower of everything, omniscient. He can understand things properly through his enlightenment. So, our worries, our disturbances, our disappointment, unhappiness, we create when changes take place because of our craving and attachment. So one day, when we had the chance to withdraw this craving and attachment, no more worries about the changes. So our duty is to strengthen our mind through our knowledge and understanding how to face these challenges. These are actually challenges in our life which disturb the mind. Disturb the mind because in our mind there is a craving. That craving is crime. Craving doesn't want to change or to depart or to separate or to disappear. But it doesn't work. It is impossible. So if we have learned this earlier, that it is impossible, then we know how to face when changes take place. Changes are natural. Scientifically, I think many of you have learned that existence never takes place without change. If no changes, no existence. Now let us take a torchlight and we speculate this as much as possible. Then we can see one wheel of a fire, light, one round, because the speedy turning of this torch. When you stop this one, that disappears. No more. So this body, this building, this earth, the sun and the moon and the galaxies, the stars, planets, all are the vision of that friction. Here we do not know how many things are there. Because of that friction, the formations of the structure of the vision appear. If there is no such friction, there is no such formation. Scientifically, when the Buddha explained this more than 2000 years ago, people could not understand. Their thinking power was not so advanced. These are the few factors or reasons why the teachings of the Buddha appeal to the West, scientific educated Westerners, because they can understand this. No friction, no contradiction with these scientific discoveries and the teachings of the Buddha. How he explained the life and the world and the nature and the universe and what they have discovered. Then mind and the body. Mind is changing 17 times faster than the body. We do not know that. When the mind changes once, new ideas, new concepts, new beliefs, new imaginations appear in that mind. This is the nature of mental energy. So when the mind changes 17 times like this, then once the whole physical body also changes. Biologically, you can understand this. To them, it will take 3 months, biology, to change so many things in this physical, even the blood also. 3 months. But the Buddha says, within few seconds, changes take place. There was a Greek philosopher, Aristotle. He says, one man cannot jump into the same river twice. Can you understand this? Why? Why cannot? Same river means the water that's flowing in the river, not the name of the river. So one man cannot jump into the same river twice. Once he jumped and come back, second time when he jumped, not the same water. But the Buddhist scholar says, one man cannot jump twice into the same river. Not the changes of the river. The same person cannot jump into the same river. Second time, change completely, not the same man. Lot of changes have taken place when he tried to jump to the river the second time. But we cannot see. This is the nature of existence. So, changes will be noticeable after many years to our naked eyes. Otherwise, we have to accept every second changes take place in our physical body as well as in our mind. Otherwise, cannot exist. Mind cannot exist, body cannot exist if no changes. And these two things are not changing in dead bodies. No mind to change, no elements to change there. Two elements also separated. Only fluid and solidity remain. And these two things also disappear later. This is the nature of formation. So we have developed too much of attachment, imagination, then we are bound to this world. After that, we cannot get rid of them that we have developed. Then we are going on crying and worrying and fighting and quarreling and disturbing, accusing, blaming and praying also. None of these things can stop our changes. No one can stop our changes. Therefore, we have to make up our mind. Changes are natural, otherwise no existence. When changes come, we have to face without worrying and without crying, without creating disturbances in our mind. These are some of the objects the Buddha has prescribed for us to practice as contemplation or meditation earlier. When you contemplate earlier, when the changes are noticeable, you don't worry because you have trained this earlier. Your mind knew this earlier. You have prepared your mind to face it. That is the advantage of that meditation. To get ready to face. You cannot run away, you cannot escape, you cannot stop this praying to anybody, but prepare the mind to face. Then, so many other things that we change that we cannot tolerate. Let us take our way of life. Today, our way of life is completely changed. Now I can understand the way of life about 50 to 60 years ago, how we lived and what sort of life that we are leading today. How many changes have taken place within these periods. And in time to come, another 50 years' time, how many more changes take place. Human mind is such that human mind can create, can discover, can produce so many things unimaginable today, but the mind is strong enough to do that. This is the beauty in human mind. Our culture, we respect our culture. Many of them have been introduced by primitive people or by our forefathers according to their way of thinking, knowledge, understanding at that time. Now if we think this is our culture, we should not change this culture. We must follow the same culture without changing our way of life. Then where is the development? Where is the progress? The thing that they knew 2,000 years ago, according to their way of thinking, and introduced certain traditions, customs, we regard them as our culture. But if we think that we should not change some of them, which are ridiculous, meaningless, or insignificant, or useless, we say, no, this is our tradition, this is our custom, this is our culture, then there is no progress. If there is no changes in our way of life, that life is just like pregnant water in a pool. If no fresh water flow into this pool, the contaminated water, where you can find lot of bacteria, germs and rubbish and dirt, and the mind that we maintain, thinking that we should not change, we must follow our tradition, our customs, our culture without any changes, just like that pregnant water, stagnant water. Very dirty, very filthy, very smelly, become nuisance. Therefore we must know how to face the circumstances, environment, way of life, education, modern discoveries. Then we can move with the time. Otherwise, we'll always stay back, behind. No development. If we think our dress, our houses, or certain other thing that we use, we must follow the same style without changing. So this is our forefathers' method, system. Then where is the development? Today you have to prepare the thing. Your dress, your houses and many other things that you use according to your convenience, your environment, your way of life. Otherwise no development, no changes. Again, it's a very interesting thing. How changes can turn and come back again. Say, 100 years ago or 50 years ago, many things that people have thrown away as outdated, old-fashioned, and very ugly, thrown away. Such as certain design, certain beds, cupboard, and various other articles they have thrown away as outdated, useless. Today you regard this as antique. At that time only $5, worth only $5. Today you are willing to pay $500 or $5,000. This is antique. How changes go round and round. Our way of life also go on like this, changing. Modern life and old life. Life is life. Modern life means the life which is ready to face the modern invention, discoveries and education. And the life is life. Another thing, generation gap, parents and children. This is an eternal battle. Generation gap. Your father and mother do not allow you to do certain things that they are not used to. They object. And when they were young, your parents were young, and their fathers also did not allow them to handle certain new things, to do certain new things, because they are not used to it. When you become father and mother, and you don't allow your children to deal with certain things that you are not used, this generation gap remains forever. We had to face it. Many people come and ask this question, what to do? My son is like this, my daughter is like this, I cannot control, they want this, they want that. We do not know, we are not used to it. We have to prepare for this. Because one day you are going to become fathers and mothers. To move with the time according to modern circumstances and way of life. Changes always take place in our life. Let us take religions. The religions started 2000 or more than 2000 years ago and study what people are doing by using the name of the founder of that religion. Let us take the Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad or Krishna. Do you think all these people really follow what those religious people have introduced? They have given their own version, interpretation, and distorted, misinterpreted, and incorporated so many new concepts, new beliefs, new method, new techniques. So they are doing entirely different method in the name of that particular religion. But there is nobody in this world who can stop this. Now let us take Buddhism. More than 2,500 years ago, the changes started 100 years after the Buddha. Then 200, 300 went on developing and developing, changing. When it come to 700 years, divided into 18 groups, 18 schools in India. So they have different ideologies, philosophy, interpretation, teachings, methods and practices. And the biggest mistake done by the Buddhists, this is a very good lesson. When foreigners come and invaded India, destroyed all the existing religions in that country, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, attacked, destroyed, burned and massacred foreign invaders. After some times, Hindus and Jainas slowly had the courage and opportunity to get up and to come forward to introduce their religion, talk about their religion. What happened to the Buddhists? Completely disappeared. That is why I am going to tell you. Hindus and Jainas had the chance to get up. The Buddhists completely disappeared, no more. They had no backbone to get up. What is the reason? The Buddhist scholars, Buddhist philosophers, divided into various schools. They were debating, arguing on hair splitting, metaphysical problems, philosophy, psychology, have written volumes of books. Whole lifetime is not enough to read Buddhist book. You can stop all your work, read Buddhist book, the whole lifetime still you cannot complete. That is why people cannot understand what Buddhism is. I always say this. When Christians and Muslims talk about their religion, straight away they say, Bible says like this, Quran says like this, even Hindus say Bhagavad Gita says like this. How many Buddhists are there who say the Buddha says like this? They say people say like this. They do not know anything what the Buddha says. So what I am going to tell you, those scholars and philosophers at that time, they have not contributed anything for the masses, for the public. What to do? Hindus, Christians, Muslims, birth, marriage, funeral. These three occasions are very important. Without their religion, they cannot perform their duties. But the Buddhists have not introduced anything. In fact, there was no such thing as funeral religious rite at that time. They never had. Marriage, they never had. Birth, nothing. But all the others, they feel without religion, we cannot perform our duties and responsibilities. So religion is part and parcel of our life. But the Buddhists have never introduced Buddhism in this way. Only philosophy, psychology, and worshipping and praying. That is why the Buddhists never felt that something is lacking or missing in them. So they have completely forgotten. For 800 years, they have completely forgotten that religion in that country. Until that Anagadika Dharmapala visited India from Sri Lanka and started his mission. He had a big battle with the government, with the people, those who occupied all those holy places, and the revival slowly started. Even here in this country, formerly we have never heard, never seen any young couple after their marriage or they are married, if they come to a place of worship, you get a blessing. Now, slowly introducing. Then they see, even 40, 50 years old, some people also come and say, oh, we had our wedding blessing here in this temple. They remember the temple. They remember the blessing. That is very important. So we had to introduce religion in such a way, not only simply talking by morals and ethics and philosophy and precept, but make people to feel that religion is part and parcel of our life. Without religion, there is no meaning in our life. There is no purpose in our life. Now they are learning. So changes have taken place in religion. In certain countries, government use full authority to control religion. And they manage to maintain some sort of system. Buddhists, and 5 Buddhists get together from 5 countries. One from China, one from Japan, one from Sri Lanka, one from India, one from Korea. These 5, when they come to perform some sort of religious service, or just like cock and bull, no harmony, no coordinations, no unity, no do not know what to do. But in other religions, they have introduced some sort of system for people to practice in the same manner, same way. It is our mistake. Nothing wrong with Buddhism. The Buddha did not introduce any of those practices. He revealed the truth. He has given enough advice for us to lead a noble life, respectable life, to maintain our human dignity, not to become slaves to religion also. But we have not organized our religious activities to promote Buddhism systematically. So changes have taken place according to the needs of different beliefs and faith and different way of thinking without any system. So we can see another 20 to 30 years' time how many kinds of changes, new method, new system people introduce in the name of Buddhism or many other religions. You might have read in the newspaper many years ago, a missionary group in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia introduced some sort of missionary activities, saying children of God, what they have done. They invited young boys and girls, have given full freedom to behave as they like. Finally, the government came to know this, banned immediately and stopped all the activity. This is the way how people try to introduce religion. Any kind of immoral or indecent method, also never mind, to introduce their religious way of life. Then what is the purpose of religion? To cultivate our moral. It is for moral conduct. It is for respectable life, noble way of life, to live without disturbing others. So, changes take place according to our mentality, according to our way of thinking. So that is why it is necessary for us to learn the basic teachings. People may talk all sort of things about religion, but you must know what the Buddha taught. Otherwise, you will be misled or misguided by others if you have not learned what the Buddha said. Then you can understand how the changes take place and what to do when these changes come. The whole teachings of the Buddha based on three basic principles: anicca, dukkha, anatta. If we can understand these three things, then we can face all these changes, challenges and disturbances. Anicca, impermanency. The things or the life that appear must change. If no changes, it must be a dead body. Dead body also changes. If there is a life, there must be changes. If there is a body, there must be changes. But these changes, sometimes for good purpose, sometimes for bad purpose. That is why some guidelines are important to direct, to guide our younger generation, because they are very emotional, their senses are very raw. They like to experience the worldly pleasure. They are very keen. So they are willing to adapt any kind of method to gain that sensual pleasure. Then religion is needed to guide them. Otherwise, nobody to control them. So they can say, everything is changing, so we are also changing. No, there must be some guideline. We cannot change things purposely. Changes are natural. That is why the Buddha says, Sabbe sankhara anicca. All the existing component things. Component things means that things exist as a bundle of elements and energies. They are called component things. Are then subjected to change. Why do they change? Because of the friction. Inside, outside. Internal, external. friction. Again we are facing wind or cold, heat, external or rain. These things also support for the changes. Then inside there are so many energies, elements. Again the mental energies all combined together. Then change. If no changes, cannot exist. Scientifically, I have read an article many years ago which appeared in the London newspaper. A scientist has discovered, in atom, there are electron, proton, neutron, all sort of things. Now, the proton started to decay, fading away. When that particular energy started to decay and fade away, and all the others also slowly start to decay, then the atom also, atom cannot exist without this. The destructions of the world, what the Buddha said, natural destruction, not created by God, destroyed by God, natural destruction. So when these atoms, electron, neutron, protons cannot agree each other, start to decay, all the other living beings, living things and elements also slowly fade away. When the Buddha said this earlier, people could not understand. But today, they know. It is true. Now, climate is changing. And the weather is changing in many countries. Unusual. They say they never experienced in their life these kinds of changes. And how we pollute and disturb the atmosphere, the sunlight. So in time to come, we had to face a lot of problems for our survival on this earth. Natural as well as the disturbance, destruction created by us. For our pleasure, for our convenience, we destroy all the natural things that which supported us for our existence. We need immediate result for our pleasure, but never think in time to come what will happen. All the rivers were polluted, jungles have become desert, a space, air polluted. But these changes have taken place, but we are responsible for them. Our crazy attitude, too much of craving for pleasure and for various other purposes, we are polluting everything. So, by knowing this situation, we can adjust ourselves to face natural changes and to avoid the changes that created by us. We have created a lot of changes in the society and way of life. Our food, our clothing, our shelter, our entertainment completely changed. We have gone far away from our natural way of life. We cannot play the fool with nature. Nature never agree with you. when you disturb. Nature has no sympathy towards you. Your duty is to cooperate with the nature if you want to live peacefully in this world. Otherwise, changes take place. Nature cannot tolerate. In one of the discourses, the Buddha's mentioned, when the human mind is polluted, more hatred, more anger, more jealousy, more grudge, more ill will, more selfishness appear in the human mind. The mental vibration that we radiate completely pollute the atmosphere. And that pollution affects the elements of this earth. Elements are not solid things, also energies. Initial stage, elements also energies. So when these energies clashes, natural destruction takes place. Volcanic eruptions, earthquake, flood, storm, and natural destruction, droughts, take place here in this world. When the human minds were polluted, then they started to radiate hatred, anger, jealousy, and grudge. When they developed, radiated this from this country, the effect or the destruction may take place in another country according to the environment and way of life of those people in that particular country. These are the warnings the Buddha has given as prediction what will happen in time to come if we pollute our mind with evil thoughts, with immoral practices. Then changes take place in our physical body. More and more new kind of sicknesses. Now no one can understand what kind of new sicknesses appear that people have never heard earlier because of our way of life. Pollution. The more they discover remedies, the more and more new sicknesses appear. Now, I think the way how this AIDS is spreading all over the world, I think in time to come, there won't be any more human beings on this earth. I think better to disappear as early as possible so that other living beings can live peacefully. Because human beings are the most cruel, most wicked living beings on this earth, who have no mercy towards other living beings, who destroy all the other living beings. But other living beings never do that. Who pollute the atmosphere, other living beings never do that. Who destroy the natural beauty, other living beings never do that. So if human beings disappear from this earth, it will become a blessing to this earth. Throat is affected again. Any questions? Oh, you have one question. Huh? Right. Why you have forgotten your Dhammapada, isn't it? What is your question? My dear friend, I'm an old man. My hearing is very poor. So I could not hear anything what you said. Can somebody tell me what he said? It's very interesting, you know. You want to know something? Can you come here? Come. Tell me what is your question. What is it? Our. Oh, it's a very interesting question. He wants to know whether the Buddha's life is longer than those who lived earlier. A very interesting question. Because lifespan is going on changing, dwindling, reducing. 2,500 years ago, the average of maximum lifespan was 120. Many people lived more than 120. But today, according to World Health Organization's people, for their observation, they say average maximum human life today is about 65. See how much? Within 2,500 years, we have gone down so much. According to the Buddha, this will go down up to 10. Yes? Up to 10. Maximum life will be 10. Then again, slowly start to develop. Always like temperature. Lifespan is just like temperature. Goes up and goes down. But take time. Sometimes thousands of years expand according to their way of life. Morally, ethically, when our minds are polluted and disturbed, our way of life is disturbed. When we go against the nature, natural way of life, when we misuse and abuse our human life, then start reduce our lifespan. All these are changes, but we are responsible for these changes. So the Buddha did not live even maximum lifespan, only 80 years. Look here, my dear friend, do you know that? Buddha lived only 80 years. He wanted to live more. He said, why? He did not want to go against the nature. If he want, he could do that. He said, no, I must face a natural death. By using his psychic power, he said, I can expand my life, but it is not natural. Because everything, his birth also taken place in natural way, not even in a house. So, death also taken place under a tree, not in a house. Very natural life. So, increasing and decreasing, our lifespan depends on our way of life. Whatever medicine we discover, whatever scientific discoveries we have made, the nature never tolerates all this thing. Because we are going against the nature. Yes, anything else? Yes, your group, varsity groups, any questions? You are the one who gave the subject. Yes, what is the question? So what is the question now? Yeah. Who is going to judge? Karma. What is the difference between karma and this person? Between two persons? Sit down. Actually, it is not necessary to refer to the Buddha or Buddhism. Karma is not belong to Buddhism or Hinduism. Karma is belong to every living being, animals also. So the reactions or the effect created by the same mind. There is no another person to judge or to protect or to punish. Now, if I put my hand into a boiling water like this, I get burnt. Terrible pain. And who created this? It is unfair for an old man like me to create this pain. That is my karma. Nobody else. Neither God, nor devil, nobody. That is my own karma. That is why it is necessary for us to learn. This is hot, therefore we should not touch. That is the meaning of learning the Dhamma taught by the Buddha. Did not create any religion or any dharma or any karma. He explained the existing natural occurrences in this universe. He did not create anything. He cannot create anything. Nobody else can create anything. But explain how these things take place. Whether you believe it or not, it is not important. You can say you are not belong to this religion, not important. The mind is the same. Pain and pleasures are the same. And good and bad are the same. Therefore, the reaction comes according to our action. Therefore, we must be wise not to abuse our mind, our body, otherwise the bad effect reflect us, return to us. We cannot escape from that. So, no one can say anything about Buddha or Buddhism for this, because karma is not belong to Buddhism. It is natural. Now, a small baby. Small baby come and touch electric wire. There's a shortage. That poor child died because of that electricity. Then you can argue, how can this electricity attack this poor child, innocent child who doesn't do anything? Karma is just like that electricity. No sympathy towards one person, no cruelty to another person. Our duty is we must know how to handle it. Karma is like that. Yes. Very far. What is your problem? How can you understand? Oh, what do you want? But you can see that anything that exists in this world are impermanent. You can see, isn't it? There is nothing to point out that this one never change, remain forever. Then to answer your question. There's so many things there, you know. Well, mind is going on changing every second. Sometimes we do certain things consciously, intentionally. Sometimes unintentionally. Good and bad both. But makes no difference whether intentionally or unintentionally. If the action is wrong, accepted by everybody that it is wrong, not belong to any particular religion, it is wrong. You have done it unintentionally. What will happen? You have disturbed or you have created some trouble by doing that bad thing, accepted by everybody that it is bad. But from the Buddhist point of view, you have not created a bad karma for you to continue life after life because it is unintentional. But within this lifetime, there may be some problems you have to face because of the problems you have created. That is not karma from the Buddhist point of view. That is only mere action and reaction. You understand? So there is nothing for you to carry forward to the next life because that is not karma. You have done this unintentionally. If you have done this intentionally, that means thinking that I want to do this, then you have implanted the idea, already deposited in the conscious mind, then it will become either good karma or bad karma. The effect will follow us at any time when the karmas are ready, but not immediately or within this lifetime also. This is the nature of karma. Follow us just like our shadow, wherever we go. Whenever chances arise, then the karma, either good one or bad one. Take for instance, simple example. You have very strong resistant power in your body. Your antibody is very strong. Many kinds of germs and virus and bacteria that enter into your body cannot create sickness because your resistant power is very strong, but they attack and attack and attack and destroy. But another person's resistant power is very, very weak. And little bit of virus or germ just enter, then become a serious sickness because the resistant power is very weak. So the karma also like this. When the previous karmas are very strong, then the fresh karmas cannot attack, protected by the previous karma. When the previous karmas are weakened, then the fresh karmas get the chance to affect. This is the nature of karma. Yes, 9:30. One more, last one. Yes. How to? Free. Oh, not so easy. You cannot take out like this, you know. First thing, learning. After learning, understanding. Learning is one thing, understanding is another. Two things. After understanding, realizing. So many things to do. Now you have realized already, this is dangerous, this is harmful, this can harm me, this can harm others, this can create enormous problem. Then you get the courage to reduce and reduce and reduce. When anger or jealousy or grudge or ill will arouse, suddenly appear, you have courage to bring down, without allowing to flare up. So it is a big battle for some times. Then later, the mind becomes used to it. Mind becomes stronger. Then you can control, suppress anger, jealousy, grudge and ill will. Otherwise, by force you cannot control them. Study, think, understand, realize and practice. Then you will succeed. No. Last one. Okay. You have to come in. You are a terrible man. Did you telephone today asking who is going to talk this Friday? Did you telephone today to the temple? One child telephone. Who is going to give the Friday talk today? I thought you are the one. All right. What is your big question? Oh. This fellow is very clever. He asked, in India, ancient time, whether people had makeup like today, applying this and this. At that time, they had horrible kind of makeup. They applied the whole face, all sorts of things, powders and the colors and here and there. And still when you visit countryside, hillside, you can see so many things they apply here and there. But here in the town, they apply only little bit here and there. They have this makeup. Very clever fellow. Okay, I think better. Sharing of marriage with others. Imina punya kammena upajjaya gunottara acari upakaraca mata pita priyamamam suriyo candi maharaja gunavanta narapice Brahma Maharaja Lokapala Devata Yam